And here we go. We are starting this off with Jeremy and Rui. Jeremy is running, Rui is commentating and explaining us the beauty that we see on screen, which is the most beloved purple dragon of all time. I'm ready to hand it over to you. How about you?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Then introduce us to the wonderful SpeedDocsAThon Spyro Year of the Dragon 100 Act run, which is going to be another PB world record. I don't know. We had someone road to SpeedDocsAthon, so anything can happen. Take it away. Have fun. We're glad to have you.
Okay,
Really
you ready, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, so the category that I'm going to be doing is 100 egg. And it's a legacy any percent for this category, where in 2013 a skip into the sorceress fight was found. And that saves like 30 minutes and prevents us from having to collect 81 eggs. We don't get to use that in this category. And so we're going to be more focused on just collecting the eggs and opening the door to the final fight. Or I should say final in heavy quotes, because she comes back. Spoilers. But there are quite a few glitches and exploits in this game. So there'll be plenty to explain. And Rui is helping me commentate.
Yep.
Do you want to go with dead body proxies while I go through sending?
Yeah, sure. So, in the game, there's sort of like a soft lock prevention thing that makes it so that if Spyro is stuck in something or can potentially clip through something, he will be pushed out of that object. And with like the start of things right here, as you saw, if you do things right, it can make you launch up into the air really, really high. There's 3 different types of proxies in the game. That one is known as a dead body proxy, which is caused by doing a glide at the right second. And yeah, it's just basically pushing Spyro out of somewhere he shouldn't be. It's probably the best way to explain it.
Yeah, we get stuck, game says no, we go high. That's pretty much it. I got the first important one, and I got the minor one. Missed the second one, so I had to watch the chicken cutscene, and that's fine. Chicken needs some love sometimes. So I'll be going for something called Waterfall Swim. Kind of a risky strat to do in a marathon, but usually I'm pretty good at it, so we'll see. Basically, the way swim and air can be explained, swim and air is about what I'm about to do with this, is you think of swim, or the swim state in this game, instead of thinking of water as a 3-dimensional like body. So there's a swim trigger and a swim container, and if you can trigger the swim state, without being confined to that container, then you can have some really advantageous effects.
With Waterfall specifically, it's more about the angle that you go about it, but there'll be other cases in the run where you'll notice you can like somewhat push Spyro up overboard, but we'll see that later.
Watch me call this one right here. Gonna get it this try. Easy. Easy.
Oh, you did get it, okay. There's a lot of delay.
How is it?
Yeah. So Jeremy has probably entered through Sheila's portal now. And the way portals work in this game, instead of them being like active all the time, because you need like egg requirements like unlock and whatnot, they just store it underneath the level instead. So whenever it's not there, it technically is there, it's just under the level instead.
This level's kind of interesting because for a side character level, it's actually gone through quite the evolution in the game. Originally, we didn't have a way to skip into the Thieves area in Molten Crater. We do have that way now, and hopefully I get it, because it's pretty important. So we collected 300 gems in the first couple levels of the run. When we stopped needing to do that, we were able to take the level a lot more cleanly, and that was nice. But we didn't really change the egg order. And then another runner, Breaking You, otherwise known as Grant Chill, he had the idea of reordering the eggs and doing the second to last egg last instead. Oops, that's not. Anyway, so we did that for a long time until actually 2 weeks ago when a runner called Matt13 had the idea to reorder the eggs again and actually do them in order, but do them in a very specific way that ignores some checkpoints and delays them, postpones them, and that saves an extra second. So the run is ever evolving, and we're finally where we are now.
There's also an intentional death that will happen there, that we'll see more near the time. But the deaths will eventually build up to something pretty big later in the run. Since Jeremy will be using the game over screen to basically teleport to a level faster. So that'll be pretty cool to see.
There are 150 eggs in the game. 146 of them are accessible before the final fight. The ones that aren't are the egg from the final fight, the egg from the real final fight. There's an egg from money bags that you get after the sorceress, and there's an egg in one of the Sparks worlds that you have to beat the sorceress for as well. And so of those 146 eggs that we have access to, we picked the 100 fastest / most consistent. This is the slowest in the route right here. It's a 52-second delay, and we're looking to try to take it out pretty soon, but it's not quite there yet. It's still a relatively fast egg. There are eggs that are minutes long, but yeah, this is the slowest one in the route that I'll be doing.
The way you access this egg is also kind of interesting. Jeremy forgot to point out, but going behind the wall there basically allows you to touch basically the square that teleports you to this area. It sort of like bleeds out into like the open a little bit. Playing the game normally you wouldn't really find it, but like whilst running it allows you to basically skip almost all the level.
This challenge is kind of interesting, the Bell Towers challenge. First of all, for a quick thief that will happen at the end, it sets up very naturally. And you'll notice in the entire run, all the thieves end up being very, very fast. The slowest ones are in Molten Crater, and even those are pretty quick. But also it's interesting because it uses a mechanic in side areas where if you exit out of a side area while you have momentum going in some direction, then you retain that partially. And so I jump and pause right here, and that makes it so that I am going a little farther up than I should be, and I can mash glide and then get to where I am right now in a way that's not intended to be possible from that area portal. Okay. So Rui mentioned the death abuse that I'll be trying to do in Molten Crater. Very hopeful that I get it. I shouldn't miss it. I don't really miss it, but I guess now's the time. But the death abuse is pretty crucial for a route that kind of climaxes in Fireworks Factory. But each individual death abuse also saves a little bit of time. This one about 2 seconds, and so instead of going for board proxy twice and using the death abuse as a backup as we used to, I go for it as a primary strat when we get one attempt at board proxy. Do you want to explain animation proxies a little bit, Ray? While I go for it?
Yeah, sure. So animation proxies are sort of like the proxies that was done in Sunny Villa. However, instead of it being like done off a dead body instead, it's done whilst an enemy or an object is doing its animation. And usually there's a different set of inputs that would be used for animation proxies instead. So like for example, this proxy uses a charge to get the proxy instead. It's basically just another form of proxy that's sort of different to Dead Body. Sort of hard to, yeah.
And the beauty of the egg death abuses is that usually an egg will give you a checkpoint, and so if you were to die after receiving an egg,
Hey, there goes another.
normally you would just spawn right back at that egg. But if you die while you're receiving an egg instead of after, then you don't collect that checkpoint, and so it provides a lot of opportunities to use some of the skips that are used in an 80% usually, not used in 100 egg usually, but are faster if you can avoid that checkpoint in that way. Like Rui mentioned, a lot of the area portals bleed quite a lot. There are almost no exceptions actually to area portals that bleed more than they're supposed to, and in a way that's advantageous to us. So in this case, we don't want to do the challenge, we just want to collect that egg and leave. And yeah.
Here, take this.
If there are any donations at this point, that would be a decent time.
Actually, yeah.
Wonderful, because there actually are. We are wonderfully zip-zop-zooming ahead, both in the game and regarding the donations. We have greetings from somewhere. Anonymous donated $1 and sent us this message, but this was already there yesterday. Quo is looking forward to KH2 with $5. Quo, you can do better. Well, I should probably match him on that sometime. Anonymous donated $250 without a message, but thank you very much.
Okay.
Anne-Marie, $100. Good luck reaching your goal. Thank you very much. And Nancy AB with $20. And CJ It's All Good with $50, saying everything is okay because I have sick Roblox loot. This CJ is the envy of every man and woman and everyone else alive. Roblox loot. Now I need to look that up, and I want some. Yeah, and with that we are at $391 already. Thank you very much. That's more than 10% to our goal.
Yeah, it's really generous of everyone.
Oh, hi, Spyro.
Yeah, back to you.
Okay, so in this level, there are 3 different routes. In terms of egg order, there are 2 different routes, but there's a method of getting to one of the eggs that's much faster. So I went for a proxy, another dead body proxy, after I got the egg under the dock. And I missed it, but if I had gotten it, I would have gone into the, what's it called? Really help me out. The water tunnel? There we go.
Yeah, sorry.
So I would have gone into there and done that challenge, and then done most of the eggs in reverse order. And if I got in a very large proxy, I would have gone straight to where I went to, rather than having to do platforming to get there. Buddha fight, not too bad if you just hold circle. And by the way, you can't hold circle. I didn't know for 2 years. I've been running this game since 2014, this category since 2015. And I didn't know that you could hold circle until 2016, and was just mashing the hell out of it. But I guess for any runners who are interested in learning this game, hold circle when you do. Normally I would prefer to preserve green sparks right there. It makes Buzz a little less risky, but should be fun still if I'm just careful.
Buzz is a very controllable fight as well. It's rare for stuff to go wrong there if you do things correctly, but we'll talk about it more near the time.
Thanks for setting me up for the fail right there. It's gonna happen.
You're fine, Jeremy, don't worry.
I was doing a long stream the other week, and I think I missed it. I failed Buzz like 5 times, out of like maybe 30, so it's not that bad, but it's pretty bad. The issue with Buzz is that if I try to be a little bit aggressive, then sometimes I'll get hit while I'm hitting him, and if I'm on 0 sparks, obviously that can be a little bit of an issue. But I'll be careful, just for the marathon. I'm not gonna die on Buzz. Do you want to explain how Buzz works?
Yeah, sure. So there's 2 main things when it comes to the Buzz fight. Mostly to do with his attacks. The first thing being that he cannot go over the edge by himself, the edge of the arena that is. So if you place yourself right next to the edge, he won't charge at you at times.
Listen carefully.
And also, after the first hit, he'll start doing these type of fire attacks, and if you let them play out, you can't hit him for a good while. But if you turn the camera away, he doesn't actually do it, since enemies in this game are not programmed to attack if they're not on camera. So it basically just cheats out the fight. It's pretty easy.
Still setting me up for the fail. I see how it is.
Fine.
The good thing about being on 0 sparks here is at least I can go into the lava and pretend like I'm gonna die, but not actually die. It's always a fun thing to do. Get to bounce as many times as you can. Okay, 1 homeworld done, 3 to go. Next one is Midday Gardens, and in terms of difficulty, it's about the same as Sunrise Spring. There's an immense difficulty spike once we get to Evening Lake. I wouldn't call the first 2 homeworlds easy, but Evening is the main run killer, and Midnight's not easy at all.
I would say that Midday is probably the most easiest, to be honest. There's one hard trick that comes like straight after coming out of here, though. That's bridge swim. So what Jeremy's going to end up doing is, after he gets the egg, he's going to rise up to the top and sort of swim into the bridge, and you'll notice he'll start clipping in and out, and basically he wants to get a swim just as he bounces up. Like that, yeah. So he can just swim in the air now. And there's 2 eggs he gets out of here. The first one was on that ledge, right there, but the second one is actually a bit more cooler, because in order to open Enchanted, you need to hit a target, and if you hit the target as you get the egg, you can skip the animation somewhat. It still like plays, but like basically it doesn't really become much of an issue.
Mm-hmm. See in chat, imagine being named Modesty. Wait until the egg right before Icy Peak. Imagine being named that. I'll point it out when I get there if I remember.
I have to train hard.
Dang. I'd change it as soon as I became like 18.
I had the wrong chat up. Whoops.
Alright, so Sergeant Bird, it's actually a really intricate and interesting level if you're a computer and running it like you're a computer. 100 eggs not too interesting. There are a lot of necessary checkpoints that obviously we have to get, and not a lot of optional checkpoints. We do a couple of them, but most we just do things as we need to do them, rather than speeding them up with optional checkpoints. But on another day, maybe another run, any percent, where I do a couple more of the interesting ones, I could explain that. But basically, there are many more checkpoints than you would expect, and than are necessary to beat that. Another quick thief coming up. I'll point all the thieves out before I get them, just so you don't miss them, because there are some of them that you would miss and not understand are thieves, especially in Bamboo Terrace. But yeah, this one you just aim at the tree, flame, thief's gone. The thieves, they're really good at juking when you're like 5 years old, but if you know where they're gonna go, then they're not so good at it.
I remember as a kid, I absolutely hated Icy Peak with their thieves.
Yeah. Those thieves are tough as a kid.
Will you be going for Croxy in this?
I will be. I will be missing it as well, but that's alright.
Oh. Well, that would have been another Dead Prodigy proxy, but yeah. That would have made him just go straight to the end of the level, but he has a backup route for it anyways, so... Yeah,
almost all the levels in this run actually have 2 or 3 routes that they just try to fluidly go into as backups if I miss a trick. So usually you'll see me miss a proxy or hit a proxy, and based on that go into a different route, hopefully without it being too obvious. It's supposed to be kind of seamless, but Croxy, the proxy off the crocodile, Saves about 10 seconds, so you would like to get it, but it's not a big deal. In the next level, there's a fodder, the things that give us butterflies to fill up sparks. There's one of those that we try to proxy from. The route's pretty cool if I get it, but the proxy is kind of inconsistent, so never really expect to get it. It's probably maybe a 40% trick. Whoops, nice bump. But if I miss it, we can show squeeze proxies, which are kind of cool too.
You have to do the explanation for it. It is perfect.
Alright. Well, not this level. Can you explain the tech that I used to get to the island? Actually, hold on.
Yeah.
So, this egg right here, that's a thief. A lot of the eggs in this game, if they have to be given to you in a specific way, like if they have to be stored in the map at some place, then they're stored invisibly and inactive, including most thief eggs, but that one in particular. The thief doesn't spawn until after I collect the egg that I'm collecting right now, the end of level egg. And while the thief hasn't spawned yet, the egg is fully active as long as you're in a stable state, just where I got it. So get swim in air and then get the egg. Pretty nice.
It's quite easy to soft lock underneath there though. If you like charge 2 into the bridge for some reason, it sort of locks out all the controls. So you have to like exit level if you accidentally do that. But the trick that Jeremy did to get to the islands, that's called Spyro. And basically it's charging up the wall, then like gliding again, over and over again. It's extremely hard to do. I cannot do it for my life, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah. How far ahead is my commentary, Wojo? I will change my reactions to fit it.
It's sort of really odd because you're like 2 seconds ahead and I'm 2 seconds behind. So neither of us are like on the right pace.
I'll track it to the right pace. I'm good at that. Had to do it before. Alright.
It's going to be another death piece here, by the way. So that's... should be 3 lives you're on now. Oh wait, 2. Never mind. Like we said earlier though, that's going to eventually lead up to Fireworks Factory, which will be pretty cool to see.
It's also going to make Charmed Ridge very dangerous, which will be hopefully cool to see if I'm not destroyed by that danger.
The world. Oops.
I wonder if this section is loud for the stream.
Probably.
For people who play on emulator, this section completely destroys your ears. The sound balancing for it was not done properly.
This is the egg I was referring to. So imagine being named this. I apologize to any Minguses in the chat, but at the same time, like, you should know. Like, you should know better than anyone else. If your name is Mingus, you should know why that's not a great thing.
I often miss that egg as well, for good reason.
Alright, I see a loading screen. Let me just chime in with a quick incentive we've got
Sure.
coming up. Spyro Reignited Trilogy is up next. And it's not any percent, but we have an any percent exhibition afterwards. We would love for you all to help us meet that incentive. It's already $20 of the $80 there we need. And if you can and would love to see that happen, you can and are welcome to donate. Thank you.
Thanks. So the thief area, pretty cool. We get a flame charge jump on the red thief, and we get the thieves out of order. And for some reason, we don't actually know the technical aspects of why it happens. But there is kind of a precedent for it in the game of teleporting NPCs and things like that by releasing a camera button. So if you get the thieves out of order for some reason, you can teleport the yellow thief back to the beginning of its path just by releasing a camera button. You can have it do that as many times as you want. This level is pretty much all just fancy jumps.
One of the fancy jumps you do here, though, is called a spin jump, and the game is sort of like odd with Spyro's hitboxes. If you like spin whilst you're jumping, you can like sort of like push Spyro up onto the ledge. It's really odd. Like Spyro's like,
Let's head on.
what's the right word for it? Hitbox? It's like, it's sort of slanted, almost. So rotating whilst jumping allows you to just push yourself up.
So one curious thing about this is that this game had adaptive difficulty, and it's usually pretty subtle. You won't really notice it in a casual playthrough. But in any percent, you're on easy mode spike, and on 100 egg, you're on hard mode spike, and that's based on some of the eggs you've collected in the hard mode, or the 100 egg route. And there are some very significant differences. Do you want to explain them, Rue?
Yeah, sure. So with this fight in particular, there's way more health for this boss. Usually you'd only have to do 6 hits for any percent. For this you have to do 9 hits. And Spike will also shoot way more often. So it's sort of harder to like avoid his attacks as well. There is other differences between certain bosses, but I can't exactly point what. I think there's a slight difference with Scorch, right?
Yeah, the main thing is with chickens. Same with Spike. You don't get chickens if you're on hard mode. Chickens are the fodder in the level. And actually, I took damage intentionally there. I'm going into Lost Fleet next, based on this route. And there's a Death Abuse pretty early in, so being on green or 0 sparks here is optimal. In the case of a lot of the escorts in this game, which you should hear that as in all of the escorts except for this one, you have to actually follow them through the entire path, do all the checkpoints that are necessary. And this one, you just have to get to the end, get a save point, and then Death Abuse, and then Crazy Ed, the guy, teleports to the end. So I'm going to attempt to skip here.
Be careful around there.
And then just grab a Zoe and Death Abuse. At the end of this level, there's a trick called Zombie. That's pretty useful.
Do you want me to explain that? Because
Sure. Yeah, I'll just try to time it.
okay, cool. So what happens during Zombie is we pause the game on the frame that Spyro takes a hit that would kill him, usually. And we exit level after we pause the game. And what that does is it keeps Spyro in his state of like what he spawns in, like of the level and whatnot. So like coming out of here, because we spawn in water and we're stuck in that state, we essentially get a swim in air for free because of it. During this though, you can't actually pause the game, so that's usually like a good indicator of whether you got it or not, but that's also sort of dangerous because you can accidentally soft lock.
So my route has 1 life of lenience, and that route is usually burned right after Lost Fleet if I don't miss Zombie. So I did miss it once, 10-second mistake, that's fine. But now I can't Death Abuse, and that can be an issue in Bentley, but there are workarounds. And so the main issue with staying in Zombie is that if I try to do one of the challenges in Charmed Ridge, it softblocks the game if I'm still in Zombie at that point. So I do have to clear it. We clear it in Frozen Altars. Normally would clear it right there. But the main problem in Bentley is that Bartholomew usually teleports, but he doesn't do it correctly if you're in Zombie. So you have to walk to the spot where he'd be looking at you, and then you have to release your camera button, as we did with the thief in Icy Peak. And if you do that, then he teleports, and you're fine.
You better
But
be
I can't
careful.
get fodder. Yeah, can't get fodder. Can't pause. So
You better be going for the
I was
proxy here.
glad.
I'll be very disappointed if you don't.
Last time I went for it, I died. I'm not gonna do that.
Really?
Yeah, I did, genuinely. It's like a minute-long mistake. I'm scared of it. I'll think about it.
This level's awful, by the way. Like, it's super slow to do. There's nothing really too interesting to do apart from that proxy, and it doesn't even save that much time. It's really depressing running this level.
Yeah, the proxy actually automatically gets you a world record. The person who submits a run with the proxy, if they have it in the run and it's successful, then that run supplants the current record, and until somebody else submits a run, stands as the time to beat. That's how it works. So this is going to be the record right here if I go for it. Yeah, what the hell. So you just saw the 100 egg world record just now. That proxy saves negative 5.5 seconds, loses 5.5 seconds. So it's the one that you have to go for sometimes, just to save a run. So the advantage of getting zombie is that I have trouble transitioning out of swim state, so I get an instant swim in air. That was going into this level. Because I haven't cleared zombie, now I'm going to have the disadvantage of zombie, which is I'm coming out of this level in ground state. I'm still going to be in ground state when I try to touch the water.
Thanks, bro.
And so I'll need to do kind of a difficult spin jump into frozen altars, and then the death abuse in frozen altars becomes pretty crucial, whereas normally it's not a big deal if I miss it.
Nice. So going into this level here, there's going to be another proxy called Mammoth Proxy, which is also a dead body proxy. And this one's actually pretty lenient since the body stays around for quite a long time. Jeremy usually goes for it straight away, but like for people beginning out, that's a very good proxy to start out with. And there's going to be another death abuse here.
Now we're on exactly the life count we want to be on. 0. Right here.
So, boxing time.
I'm excited. I've been training for this my whole life. I'm doing great so far. Oh my god. Lost like 5 seconds at the end of that just because he wouldn't drop his hands. So jabbing is the best strat there. If you break his guard, what you do if you start to lower his mitts while you're jabbing him, if you break his guard, you get more damage than you should get. It's a broken damage output.
You have to punch to a particular beat there, because if you press too often, not all the punches will go through, and if you punch too slow, he'll start punching back.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a meme in the community to punch to a beat of a song called Africa. I'm sure you guys know it. But yeah, it's about the only time in the run where you're actually allowed to listen to music midway through.
Okay, so this for the next 5 minutes is scary. If I game over, like, it's not the end of the run, it just loses a bunch of time. But so, like, if I were doing attempts, it would be the end of the run. But I am on 0 lives, and there are going to be at least 2 situations before I want to game over where I'm pretty close to game overing. One especially that is kind of notorious for being the spot, but can't go easy on marathon runs. It's not the style you need to play.
I'm glad to see everyone in chat knows the song.
Yeah. You're gonna see another Spyro man like the one that I used in Bamboo Terrace here. This one's a little smaller, but if I do it well, I can get hover this and it saves a half second over the other strat. If I do it badly... Oh shit. Alright, well if I do it that badly, then that's actually a little bit worse. Okay.
Oh no,
No, it's alright.
that's unfortunate.
Look at this backup right here. It's not actually a good backup for this. But anyway, so I'm going to go for a proxy, probably just go for the Spider-Man again. I think that's the optimal thing to do. Retribution.
Spyro.
You could have probably gone for the end of level egg, but
I'd have to watch the 8-second cutscene.
oh yeah.
Alright.
Well,
So-
anyways, this isn't too bad. It's just like 40 seconds or something.
Yeah. It's strange how you phrase it. It isn't too bad, but 40 seconds.
According to legend,
But
we just bought some
I'm not a good
Insta-style
runner,
ultra
so 40
super
seconds
grilled
means
meat
nothing
from a
to
bear
me.
with a bag of jam. He said they
40 seconds is normally like the end of my run, no matter where it is.
You can have it if you like.
Anyway, so these jumps are cool. You can break the puzzle by doing this boosted jump where you charge down, hold charge and X, and then release charge. And you get a few jumps in a row, have a bunch of momentum, and you can make skips that shouldn't be possible.
You've been doing great so far.
Yeah. At
There's
least
a little
now,
sound cue that you can go off.
yeah.
To know whether you got the jump. If Jeremy's nice, he'll do an impersonation for us.
I'm not nice. I'm a very mean person.
Okay, that's unfortunate.
How about this? If I miss this proxy right now, I'll do it, but otherwise I won't. That's fair. Sounds really fair to me, actually. Yeah, it's super fair. Alright, so that proxy is really important, saves 12.5 seconds. Normally that would be the spot where I would game over on accident. Spider-Man's not usually the spot. Having game overed, now this route is... I mean, I could still do the route if I really wanted to, but I'll just point out what I would have done.
You should go for Agent Spyro.
Yeah, I could. I could death abuse over Firefly a couple times too. If I miss it. Try to get that route in. Curious little optimization. Out of the whale, if you hold X, you control your movement out of the whale. Whereas if you don't hold X, you don't. So you can just hold X and move toward the fireworks factory. I'm gonna death abuse over that.
This proxy is known for like being the hardest in the game.
Alright, one more. Cool. Now we're back on the correct life count, I guess. That was all. I missed 3 on purpose there, just so I could show you what the game over abuse route looks like. It's how generous of a player I am.
Hey.
So the Agent 9 movement's broken. Broken as hell. Basically you hold one strafe button and then mash the other one, you get a bunch of speed. Do you want to explain Agent Spyro while I'm doing this?
Hey, Spyro!
Yeah, so the alternative way of doing this part is by pausing the game and death abusing inside the little room bit where you speak to Ancient 9. What that ends up doing is it will spawn Spyro inside this bit of the level. So usually you're meant to be Agent 9 when you're doing this section, but you can just do it as Spyro instead if you wanted to. It's technically not faster, but it's a pretty cool trick nonetheless. Very easy to pick up as well if you're on PS2.
Thanks for rescuing me.
There's a trick that you can do with the controller where if you hold 2 buttons and unplug it, it will automatically pause the game for you on the right frame. So it's pretty much free on that.
I think I could see it.
So this next bit is going to be damage abuse. So basically, Jeremy wants to get the attention of that bomb guy to throw a bomb over to him and sort of get pushed up to where the egg is, just like that. And then there's only one more egg in this level, and he's pretty much done. All them tricks are pretty hard to do. So like Jeremy said, this level can be quite a nightmare for people.
Yeah, fireworks is definitely my weakest level. And I think most people have that opinion. There's a runner, Nerfrit, who it's his favorite level, and he's very, very good at it. He's the second place runner right now, but has held the record at many, many points in the time this category has been a thing. So
That's it. I've had
if
enough.
we could just harness Nerfrit energy, then we can do well there. This fight is very low skill, very high RNG, very unfortunately.
Yeah, so the RNG, for the most part, is just dependent on what rocket you get. And there's 2 rockets. There's red rocket, which comes in 50, which is sort of like the machine gun in a way. And then there's the green rocket that does the same amount of damage as the red one, only you get 1, and it doesn't even always hit. So getting greens like that is pretty unlucky.
Yeah. And the issue is with reds, if you have multiple rockets, you can go for double hits. And so right now I'm having to wait like an extra 6 or 7 seconds every single time Scorch attacks, because I don't have extra rockets to double hit him. Now you'll see that I can double hit him, and the fight will go a lot faster for the last 6 or 7 hits.
According to interviews, the green rocket was meant to do more damage, but it just never got into the game for some reason.
Yeah,
Would have
the
been nice
developers.
if it did.
It would have been. The developers were very time pressed toward the end, so there are lots of things at midnight till the end of evening that show it a little bit. They did a pretty good job of covering it up, but in this case, the fight was supposed to actually have 4 weapons instead of 2, and like we mentioned, the green one doesn't even work properly. As fun trivia, the other 2 weapons, one of them was an enemy clearing weapon, and one of them was an invincibility weapon.
Spyro, I know you.
I forgot, do you go for this stuff abuse? No, you don't. Okay.
No, that one's slower. You have to rewatch the rocket cutscene if you do it.
Oh yeah. So there isn't really too much happening in this next level. So if there's anything that needs to be read out, now would be a good time.
Actually, perfect timing. Wonderful, thank you. We got Red Rum Socks donating $10 and saying, wishing good luck to the runners.
Thank you. So Jeremy's trying to get a proxy right here. It's quite finicky, so it looks like he's just moving on from it. So instead, he's probably going to go for swim and air instead. The gems that the wizard spawns can, like, somewhat push Spyro up if you charge at the right time with them coming down. So it results in swim and airs like that, and swim and air in this level is kind of nuts. You can get the eggs real fast in this level with it.
This slide area is pretty cool. There are 3 skips. I'll go for 2 of them. If I miss one of them, I'll go into the other one. But there are also two kind of game-breaking glitches that exist because of the slide area, and the third one that's PAL exclusive.
You can have
So I think it's more interesting to explain the ones that aren't happening than the ones that are happening, so I'll do that. Basically, one of the glitches, because the enemy's, or the NPC's talk box is so large, you can get him to talk to you on the first frame you call out. And if that happens, the game begins to have a little bit of trouble running. And then if you go to an area and look down on it where a lot's happening, the game struggles and almost crashes and then corrupts. You get a visual corruption of the game. Pretty cool to see. So you get a bunch of funky colors on Spyro and on all the textures in the entire level. Beyond that, there's a glitch using the 117 task. 117 is max completion, where if you touch the ground and enter the level on the same frame, then the slide area will load on top of the normal level, and you'll get all of the gems to either be given to you automatically because they hit the death plane, or be interspersed throughout the entire level along with the egg. Very interesting there. And then the 3 skips, I did one of them. The one that I went for before was Turtle Proxy. We call that slide, skip, skip, skip. There's an intermediate one that we called slide, skip, and then what I ended up having to do was slide, skip, or slide, skip, skip for the intermediate. We're very good at naming things.
So entering here, this is an animation proxy, or oh, you're just gonna move on from it. Okay.
The next one, it's a squeeze proxy actually, but I'll do it again. There's another one.
Oh, is it a squeeze? Oh.
Yeah, it's a squeeze off the animation. The animation pushes you between the animation and the ground.
I've been training my... Watch out for the shark riders.
Yeah, so Virgil chat actually posted a bar, so that's the best way to explain squeeze proxies. It is basically just Spyro being stuck between two things. So if you imagine your hands and a bar soap, when you like squeeze it, it pops out. That's essentially what's happening with Spyro.
And the egg challenge that I just did, the shark subs, all of that, that's the egg. Normally you'll see an egg called Sandcastles and Seashell Shore. That's a 54.5 second detour. The one that I just did, if I do it well, is like 46, 47. So it's been recently, as in like in the last 2 years, added into the route by some of the top runners. And it's pretty nice. The sharks are on a cycle rather than being random, so it allows you to have a lot of control over the consistency of the challenge. One statistic that I always find really interesting about this category is in the... Okay, that was a weird mistake. But in the optimal route for this, there are 8 death abuses, including a game over. That's a crazy number to me for optimal death abuses, but they all work toward a common goal before evening, and then there are 3 faster ones in midnight, in that homeworld alone.
This bit here, by the way, is essentially a side scroller. There's not really too much to it. You can proxy off some of these guys, I believe, but it's very much like the bending proxy, where it doesn't really save time to do it. It's best to just go through and just get the egg.
It's all about good old-fashioned Sheila horizontal mechanics. If you do single jumps with Sheila and they come down from the single jump, then you have your horizontal speed. So usually you'll see me doing double jumps instead, because the speed doesn't depreciate in that way. Okay. So I think I have 1 life left. I want to do 2 more death abuses. So I'm going to ignore this one, because the other death abuse is more interesting to me. So this one saves like 3-ish seconds if I were to death abuse on Billy. But I would game over on the other death abuse if I did that. There is a miscellaneous category for this game where death abusing to 2 game overs is optimal, but this category I only want 1, and I mean I've already had 2, so probably don't want that again. Alright, Rui, can you name the answers to all the riddles that I have to answer in this level?
Yes. A vessel that's golden, or has a golden sensor, egg, so down A, I think. No, it's down A. No, it's down X, it's not even A. What am I saying?
It is down X.
So yes, that's the first riddle. Every speedrunner must know that. Entering into tanks, however, there's another riddle, which the answer to is down X. As a runner, you do not need to actually know the answers, you just need to know the button inputs. Jeremy likes showing off, so instead of going for straight shots here, he will probably always go for lob shots, and they are way harder to hit. But I think they are technically faster. Right?
Some of them are. And I actually find them easier. They have, I know a lot of runners don't like using them, but I think they're missing out on some practicality. The enemies that we're trying to hit, if they're behind a jar, they move randomly to the other side of the jar. We don't know which side they're going to, and sometimes you can throw out a lob shot and it has like a spread, whereas a straight shot you have to hit directly. And that spread can be useful in kind of mitigating the effect of any RNG, where I can cover both options sometimes because of a lob shot. Anyway, with this death abuse, this route's faster if I get an animation proxy at the end of it by 1 second compared to a non-death abuse route. So hopefully I get that, but not a big deal if I don't. Whoops. So now I have to climb a ladder, unfortunately, because Hunter told me how to in the big gardens. I'm able to. Are there particularly dank meme categories for any of the Spyro games? Yes, the dankest and best category is Bone Dance. And there's a challenge in Enchanted Towers for this game and in Skilos Batmans for Spyro 2. That has a skeleton that dances, has some pretty good moves. So there's a category for that on the boards in the miscellaneous section.
Has a pretty funky song to go with it as well.
Mm-hmm.
The one in Spyro 2 is fairly easy to do because of how broken Spyro 2 is. But the strats that were found for Bone Dance in this game is pretty hard to do, especially the optimal ones. But sadly we won't be able to show them off here. So this wagon here is another squeeze proxy, and it's probably the most naturalist form of squeeze proxy, since it's just Spyro getting stuck on scenery. That's what the soft lock mechanic is meant to like try and avoid and everything. But obviously with enemies having hitboxes themselves and sometimes being able to like go through different states and not, it ends up applying to them as well. There's
Are there any donations or incentives?
We are still looking at 20 out of the $80 for Spyro Reignited Any % exhibition. And after that, it's a little bit in the future, but 3.5 hours around, Ape Out there's an additional level that needs $50 to be met.
Nice.
You all know you can donate via Tiltify, makes it easy, makes it transparent, and we can read your messages.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if you have anything indecent, it will get filtered and you get bonked.
We're on the last level now.
Oh,
Yeah.
Final boss.
time is coming up soon then.
Yeah, about a minute and a half probably.
I will let our restreamer on shift know.
You did it, Spyro.
So this fight is really interesting and very intricate. There are 5 cannons that can spawn 5 cannon spots, and 3 of them always spawn, and based on the 3 that spawn, you can see which one's going to drop and which pattern the sorcerers are going to have when you board that cannon. So right now I see the 3 cannons. I see 2 of them, and one of them I infer to be above me. Which means this one's going to drop. That's good. It's the fastest one and the easiest one. So I want to get 2 or 3 hits with this first one. I get 2. And then I would have actually preferred her to go to the edge of the arena. Now I'm going to have to go for something called a 4-hit complete force. Basically, if the tanks are... if Agent 9 is waiting under a tank, and then I space the tank half of an arena away. Hold on, let me try to actually get it. Alright, I had to back up to something. Didn't realize she was going to approach me. That's unfortunate. But if I were to space it half of an arena away and then shoot and hop off, Agent 9 would begin shooting down the second tank. And by the time the shot hit, the tank would be in the air and therefore it wouldn't be despawned. And so you can use it, and it's a much faster vehicle than the UFO. So I find this fight to be maybe the best part of the game usually. I think it's a really interesting fight and always fun. Places where knowledge is very powerful to be the most engaging sections.
There's so many different setups for it and everything. There's a
Time
massive round. Yep, time. But yeah, that fight goes pretty deep. Good job, Jeremy.
And we have a 56-19 for you in real
Wait,
time.
was that really? Oh my god. That felt so much. I was thinking like 59. Alright, well that's good.
Wonderful.
Well, thanks for having Rui and I, and everyone try to get that reignited any % showcase. Only like 60 more bucks to get on that.
Yeah. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for opening. It was a good time. Thanks for all the explanations to you too, Rui. And I think we'll head on over to intermission. Follow the runners. Donate if you can and want. See you for a whole weekend of fun and runs.